Hello, my name is JJ Reynolds. I am the founder over at lookerstudio.vip, and we're going to be hopping into how to use the event-based schema of GA4 inside of Looker Studio using the default connector. All right. If that's what you're in for, buckle up, sit down, grab your beverage of choice. I am out of iced coffee, and we are about to jump into it. But first, if you have not yet, download the lookerstudio.vip cheat sheet over at lookerstudio.vip/YouTube. It's super helpful. It gives you 8 optimization tips before you ship your next dashboard and hit publish to a client, a boss, a coworker, or someone else. Just run through these quick tips. It will make your life so much easier as you keep kind of improving your brand styling and Looker Studio. Okay, so let me just share my screen here, and we are going to talk about how events work in GA4. So here, just so that we are all up to speed, on the right side, we just have our Looker Studio default connector. So we are going to hit those API quota limits. We're going to run into problems, but I'm just going to let you know this is what we're using. I'm going to get rid of that so it's good bigger. Then we have our Looker Studio VIP data source for that's Looker Studio VIP. And here is our basic kind of events here. The thing that people don't understand about GA4 is that everything is an event. Okay, so just think of it like this, is that everything is an event, and then you have things that are associated with that event. So for example, here we have event count, right? And then the event name makes a lot of sense. But if you add in views, right? So that's like the page views equivalent of universal, you will notice that no events have any views because they are not page views, right? Only the page view event, as you can see right here, will have views. So how can we use this to our advantage, all right? The first thing you might want to look at is the clicks, right? So if we looked at, for example, click as our event name, and let's just add a quick control, and we can add in a quick input box right here, because we're going to be filtering for event name quite a bit, and if event name contains click. All right, so here we are on click. Get rid of this. Okay, so here we have our event name of click. There we are, 0 views. So now let's add in the number of events, right? Event count. And now you can see how many clicks occurred during this date range, all right? But what if you want to know what they clicked on? That is a custom definition inside of your GA4 custom definitions. So if you want to know what they click on, you can add in the link URL. And so now we have, here's what they clicked on, right? So that's where you can see. Let's get rid of this, the event name. So now we know we're looking at the event of click because that's what we're looking at. We then have the number of link click URLs right above me here. And we also have the number of events of clicks over time because every single event now has a date stamp associated with it. So if I wanted to see, for example, how often do people click on, for example, tools, I can click on this. You will now see a trend line right here of how often people have clicked to that destination. I know, super helpful. Now what we have to do is we have to clean this up, right? So this is the link URL right here behind my head. You will see there's HTTPS. It's going to be very ugly. So what do we want to do is we want to grab a variable or make a new variable using regex and a filter to kind of clean that up. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to copy from the SOP we have inside of a Better Than Data. We've got a lot of short codes in there for people. So let me just grab that really quickly. And here we go. So I'm going to create a new field. We are going to put in, this is for the full page URL, but we are just going to put in the link URL. And this is going to get rid of all of the parameters at the end of this. So now we don't have any of those parameters to kind of have to deal with here. So let's get this. We now have the link URL, and we can do one more regex replace here. And we can get rid of that HTTPS at the beginning. And there we go with the magic of editing. We have this full URL. I'll paste this in the link down below, but basically what we're doing is 2 regex replace statements in one. Super like a straightforward if you kind of know how to use regex replace. Again, we've got that SOP inside of Better Than Data if you're watching this. So here's every single page that is linked URLs, every single link that is being clicked. So we have the filter of link here, but then we want to also look at what page they were on, right? So let's add another way to do that. So what I'm going to do is on this, we're going to now add that filter, right, of event name that equals click. So let me just get rid of my head here real quickly. Include where the event name, right, is equal to click. And this is going to make sure this filter is only showing clicks. Following the naming convention, right, include event name equals click. Hit savity save. And now that is that, we can get rid of this. Ta-da. This should be the same. There we are. Ta-da, ta-da. All right, so now we have all of our click URLs there. What about scroll depth, right? That's the thing that a lot of people want, is if you kind of keep your ducks in a row, you can have a really cool scroll depth report. So let's take a look at how we could possibly do that. Let's get rid of this. Let's just call this scroll depth. New feature here. If you haven't used Looker Studio recently, we've got the scroll depth situation. All right, so up here, we've got number of views, right? This is the click URL. Let's add in a bar chart here. Let's just go for the horizontal bar. It's always the easier one to use. And here we're going to look for the breakdown. I'm going to look for the event count, right? We got event count. The breakdown of percent scrolled. Actually, no, we're going to put the dimension as percent scrolled. And there we go, folks. So now, because we are using events the way that they're intended to be used, we now have all of the little scroll depths here, and we do the same exact thing because we know, right, because you're a good marketer here, we want to include the event name that is equal to scroll. So now we have that it's equal to scroll. So now that we have this, we now know that this is going to be our scroll depth. Bam, 10, 25, 50, 75, 90. Here is the event count over time. And then now here's where the things start to get fun, okay? We can now add a control here of a drop down. Let's just add it right up here. And that is a very big drop down. And we want to have this drop down as the page path. And we cannot use the page location because it will break the scope problems, because page location has a weird scope. So here is page path, right? We have all of these page paths. But if you want to have the full page URL and you don't want to have to deal with the page location scope, right? That's the predicament that we're all running into. You can create a new field here and use the concat function of hostname and page path. Now you have a clean page URL that you can then use to then filter, add anywhere you'd like to, because it's using two different things. So now if we click on this, we can say, hey, I want to see just the new metrics page. Guys, now we've got scroll depth down here, so we can see the scroll, and now we have an invalid dimension of metrics over here. So let's go investigate why that might be. So event name is click, right? Oh, apparently cross-filtering is what works. Let's just check that one more time. Make sure it wasn't something, a weird wonky edge case, because I've done this before, I promise. All right, so link URL. Maybe we need to have, oh, that's why. We're using full page URL instead of link URL when I copied that over. There is our predicament right there, folks. So now we have the link URL. Ta-da. Okay, so now we come in here with our question, right? This is a Looker Studio kind of power play right now, but you come in here with a question and say, hey, our new metrics blog post, how many, who clicked where? So we have people clicking to the GA4 spy. We have events of people clicking to the Looker Studio templates. We have the cheat sheet. We've got dumb data. We've got all these different URLs. Because we set up our data collection correctly, a lot of people aren't doing this, we now can do this kind of stuff. Let's now make this page a little bit longer. All right, so we're gonna go to current page settings, and we're gonna make this page a little bit longer. Let's go to 3,000. Let's just give ourselves some wiggle room here. So here's the event counts. Here's this. Now let's look at our custom event collection. Okay. So on every single page of our blog, so if we opened up this page right here, we can see all of the events that are added. So let's just pull this up. Boom, boom. Now let's look at the event name. And so now what we're doing is we are looking at every single event that was triggered on this page. So if I look down here, we've got page view, we've got aware CTA, content CTA, impression CTA, all that jazz. These we set up very intentionally. So let's just open up lookerstudio.vip. And I'm going to show you what this is, because if you go onto our learn tab, right? So you're gonna go learn and you're gonna click on any of these. Let's go look at how to beat the GA4 API limit. So here is a call to action, right? And then we also have them down here further, usually. Oh, not an inline one here, but here we have this. So let's now hop into Looker Studio, because what if I wanted to answer the question of how many people saw that and how many people then clicked on it, right? That's the name of the game. We were just trying to optimize what we are looking for. So because I know we're on that page, we now have the impression, aware, etc. CTA. So here is where things start to get really fun, okay? Is that we can take this and we can then say, I'm going to add a filter here. Let's just turn this into, actually, we'll show you a different way. We showed you how to do the event count with the scroll depth here. Now I want to show you how you can look at, turn this kind of bar chart into, or a table into a chart. So I'm going to come down here and we're going to look at the column number 1. We're going to turn this into a bar. We're going to show the number, and that solved that problem. And now we are going to add a filter to this thing that it must end in CTA. So here we go, add a new filter. We'll mind my head as I duck to get out of the way. Where the event name, right? And then you'll see that it doesn't say, I'm gonna do ends with, so I'm gonna use regex match, and we are gonna do $star CTA $, and then I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna say include event name of reg equal, bam, there we go. Hit save. So this should then filter to show all of those. Now we can look at event count. And now you'll see here that we know how many people saw that, aware, and then clicked on that call to action. The cooler part of this is that I think we have another content CTA location, right? Because everything's an event. Now we know that this was above the fold. So if we remove this filter, right? Again, this is kind of ugly. I know it's a little bit ugly. So now we have all across the site. Here is all the link URLs. We now have the scroll depth of all the scrolls, and we now know of where everybody saw our call to action. So here, if we look at this, we have people who clicked the call to action, aware of the call to action, and then where it was. So we might want to have this be drill downable. So we get impression, aware, etc. And if we wanted to drill into clicks, hey, where were people clicked on the most? We could then drill down into that. So let me just go into style here, turn on our headers, all right? Always show. Let's make these look real pretty. Let's go with this orange color because who doesn't like orange? And now you can see CTA above the fold was clicked 62 times, CTA inline 1 was clicked 10 times, and then inline blog CTA was clicked 3 times. So now every single thing that we want to look for is at our fingertips because we are using events to do so. So how does this work in the real world? Let me show you the final thing here. If we can allow ourselves to turn on cross filtering, I'm going to take you on a little tour of this report. Again, mind you, we built this in just a few minutes here. This video is barely edited. We are just under 20 minutes, probably. And let me just do one last thing on our style tab. We want to make this a little bit bigger because we want to be able to see this, folks. Okay, there we go. So we now have event counts, all these things. Let's go to view mode. And I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so here, let's say we want to see where are people clicking on the cheat sheet. I didn't turn on the thing for here. So let me just go add this really quickly. Cross filtering enabled. Okay. And then last, actually, let me do this a little bit lower because I want to make this into a full-sized list. And here's the page URL. Okay. There we go, views, boom. Okay, so here we go. We have the full page URL at the top. We have our top pages here. We then have the Looker Studio link. So here we can take a look and say, I was trying to optimize for cheat sheet clicks, right? That's the goal. That's the reason the site exists. I can click on this, and now it reverse engineers the event counts for everything, okay? Because we are using event counts, that works. Now, what if we change this to sessions? So this is where things start to get really spicy. So here, I'm going to use the sessions. We are also going to add in sessions. And everybody cross their fingers with me and hope that we do not hit any of the limits with the GA4 Live API. And lastly, we got sessions down here. Okay, so here we have the link URL click of this. But what you can do is say, hey, okay, here's our top thing is new metrics. All right, hit that, pow. Now we can see here's every link click. Here's the trend of sessions, the number of sessions who clicked on that, the scroll depth of each of them, as well as people who saw the content, who then aware of it, who then clicked on it. We can then drill down to see exactly which location it was. So that blog post only has above the fold, right, on that. So then we can easily come in here and say, okay, now let's look at field IDs. And all right, actually, let's just look at the templates. Bam, there we go, templates. And so now you can see here, templates, here's our trend, here's our scroll depth, here's the link URL, and here is every single event that took place on the site. And then you can have one last catch-all. This is like, again, the final frontier here, folks, is you just copy this, put this over here, make it a little bit shorter, and then you can say, remove your filter. And then now you have kind of a QC to see every single event on that particular page. And so now if you were ever to like say, hey, like what's happening on the overall site, we can see how many views, all the different pieces, and then we can drill into anything in particular. Let's go to the icons page. What happens there? Oh, hey, here we have a fetch user information, we have a page view, we have session start, we have user engagement, we have a first visit, we have clicks, we have scrolls. And then it's up to you as the person who is able to engineer the best measurement system on planet Earth to use this data to tell a story and ultimately find an action. So I hope this was helpful, a little bit of a ramble, a little bit of excitement, but it is how you can really drive home everything is an event. All right, just keep that in mind, everything is an event. When you are building out any GA4 data across the board, that is the thing to remember. All right, guys, if you have not yet, go check out betterthandata.com. We are opening up in May, and if you are watching in the future, probably July. All right, so if you watched, hey, peace out. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.